There is a kind of silence that is not empty. It's a weighted silence, a space filled with unspoken words and feelings you are almost certain are there. Your phone lies still on the table, a dark, silent mirror. But in your body, something is not still. There is a low-frequency hum of anticipation, a nervous system that has learned to wait for a signal that doesn't arrive. He is silent, and yet you feel him. You feel his thoughts pointed in your direction, like a distant lighthouse whose beam you can't quite see, but whose presence you sense across the water. Is this intuition, or is this madness? This is the space where so many women find themselves, standing in the cold hallway of a connection that has no name. It's like he has left a door half open. He hasn't closed it, locked it, and walked away. But he hasn't invited you inside either. And so you stand there, in the doorway, caught in the draft, unable to move forward, unwilling to go back. Your mind replays every conversation, every shared look, searching for the key that will either lock the door for good or swing it wide open. Friends, with the best of intentions, will tell you that silence is an answer. They'll say, if he wanted to, he would. And on a logical level, you know they are right. But logic is a small, quiet voice when confronted with the thunder of a deep, psychic connection. Your intuition is not lying to you. He is thinking of you. But the reason for his silence and the nature of his thoughts is far more complex and psychologically profound than a simple case of, he's just not that into you. The truth is, his silence is not about you. Not really. It is a conversation he is having with himself, and you have become the unwilling audience. To understand it, we must look past the surface of modern dating advice and into the deeper waters of the human psyche, into the realm that Carl Jung dedicated his life to mapping. We must talk about projection, the shadow, and the terrifying, paradoxical fear of losing something he doesn't even believe he has. His silence is not an absence of feeling. It is a fortress built by his ego to protect him from a feeling that has become too powerful, too revealing, too dangerous. Let's first validate what you feel. That sense of him thinking of you is often real. It's a psychic echo. When a connection is strong, it creates an energetic field between two people. But here is the first uncomfortable truth. The fact that he is thinking of you does not mean what you hope it means. The question is not if he thinks of you, but who he thinks of when he thinks of you. From a Jungian perspective, what you are likely experiencing is the immense power of projection. When you met, something in him resonated with a deep, unconscious image inside you. This is the animus, the unconscious masculine side of a woman's psyche. It is an amalgamation of all her experiences, beliefs, and archetypal images of the masculine. When a man appears who seems to embody the positive qualities of your animus, strength, wisdom, creativity, passion, an incredible amount of psychic energy is projected onto him. You don't just see him, you see your own soul's potential reflected in his eyes. This is why the connection feels so fated, so significant. It is significant, but its significance is primarily for your own journey of individuation, your own path to wholeness. You have projected a godlike quality onto a mortal man, and while a part of him is flattered by this, another, deeper part is terrified. He feels the weight of your projection. He feels seen in a way he has never been seen before, but he also feels the impossible expectation that comes with it. He feels you see him as this incredible, whole, powerful being, and his conscious mind, his ego, knows he is not. He is flawed. He is uncertain. He has his own fears and insecurities. Your bright, powerful projection casts a long, dark shadow behind him. And it is in that shadow that the reasons for his silence are hiding. His ego, the gatekeeper of his conscious identity, goes into high alert. The ego's primary job is to protect the sense of self, to maintain control. A connection this intense feels like a loss of control. It feels like being swept away by a current that could lead anywhere. To his ego, this is a threat. So, it deploys its most effective weapon: distance, silence. It builds a wall not to keep you out, but to keep his own overwhelming feelings in. He pulls back to regain his footing, to feel like he is in charge of his own emotional landscape again. He might tell himself he's busy, that it's not the right time, or that he's not ready for something serious. These are the socially acceptable stories the ego tells itself. But the deeper, unconscious truth is that he has encountered a part of his own soul through you, and he doesn't know what to do with it. This is where his own shadow comes into play. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is everything we have repressed or denied about ourselves. It contains our insecurities, our fears, our perceived weaknesses, but also our unlived potential and hidden strengths. Your projection of the idealized man onto him forces him to confront his own shadow by contrast. You see him as strong, so he becomes acutely aware of his own weakness. You see him as decisive, and he is confronted by his own indecision. You see him as a hero, and he is terrified of the vulnerable, frightened child that lives inside him. His silence is a retreat from this inner conflict. He cannot bear to stand in the bright light of your projection, because it makes his own shadow feel so dark and so real. He is afraid that if he steps closer, if he speaks, the illusion will shatter. He will be exposed as a fraud, not the hero you see, but just a man. And this leads to the central paradox, his fear of loss. He is silent because he is afraid of losing you, but it's not the loss of your physical presence he fears most in that moment. It's the loss of your good opinion. It's the loss of the idealized image he sees reflected in your eyes. That image is intoxicating. It's a glimpse of the man he wishes he could be. To engage with you, to be real and flawed with you, risks destroying that beautiful, perfect image. So, the ego makes a seemingly logical, but ultimately destructive calculation. It's better to preserve the perfect fantasy from a distance than to risk ruining it with messy reality up close. It is better to be a silent, mysterious figure in your mind than a real, disappointing man in your life. He freezes the connection in time, keeping it in a state of perfect, unrealized potential. He protects the fantasy of what could be by ensuring it never has the chance to become what is. He is thinking of you, yes. He is replaying your conversations. He is looking at your photos. He is caught in the loop of the connection, but he is interacting with a ghost. He is interacting with the projection, not the real woman. His silence is the space he needs to keep that projection alive, untainted by the complexities of a real relationship. This dynamic is often unconscious on his part. He doesn't sit down and think, I am going to retreat into silence to protect my ego from her animus projection. He simply feels an overwhelming urge to pull away, an anxiety that he can't quite name. He feels a pressure that makes communication feel like a high-stakes performance he's not prepared for. So he does nothing. He waits. He hopes the intensity will fade, that the pressure will lift, that he can find a way back to a feeling of control. And you are left in the doorway, interpreting this silence through your own psychological lens. And this is the most important turn in this entire story. The moment you stop using your energy to decode his silence and start using it to understand your own reaction to it, is the moment you take your power back. The situation is not just revealing his psychology, it is revealing yours. The hook that keeps you emotionally invested is not just him, but a part of yourself. The half-open door is not just his choice, it is a reflection of a space you are willing to occupy. Ask yourself, with radical honesty, why am I willing to wait in a hallway? What part of me believes that love is something I must wait for, something that is withheld, something that exists in a state of painful ambiguity? This is where you meet your own shadow. Perhaps your shadow contains a deep-seated fear of abandonment. A man who is half present and half absent keeps that wound perpetually activated. You are trying to finally win the love that was inconsistent in your past, perhaps in your childhood. You are trying to get the man behind the half-open door to finally choose you, to prove that you are worthy of being chosen. Or perhaps your shadow contains the good girl or the understanding woman persona. You have been taught that being patient, undemanding, and endlessly empathetic is the way to be loved. So you make excuses for his silence. You tell yourself he's scared, he's been hurt, he needs time. You become the caretaker of his woundedness, abandoning your own need for clarity and presence. This persona feels virtuous, but its shadow is resentment and a slow erosion of self-worth. You are giving your emotional energy away for free, hoping it will eventually be reciprocated. This is the hidden trap. You are so focused on the light of your projection on him that you fail to see what is being illuminated within yourself. His silence is a mirror. And what it is reflecting back to you is an unhealed part of your own psyche that is drawn to the pain of uncertainty. If this reflection is naming something you have felt but never been able to put into words, take a moment. Acknowledge the part of you that has been standing so patiently in that cold, lonely doorway. It has been doing its best to get a core need met, even if it chose a painful strategy. The real transformation does not happen when he finally sends a message. It happens when you decide you are no longer available for half-open doors. This is not about creating a rule or an ultimatum. It is not a tactic to make him miss you. Any action taken with the secret hope of manipulating his response is still leaving your power in his hands. True power comes from a quiet, internal shift. It's the moment you withdraw your projection. You take back that golden, godlike energy you have placed upon him, and you recognize it as your own. That strength, that wisdom, that passion you saw in him, it was always a reflection of your own inner potential, your own animus, waiting to be integrated. When you withdraw the projection, the whole dynamic changes. The energetic hook dissolves. It's like unplugging a lamp. The light goes out, and you are both just sitting in the reality of the room. He is no longer an idealized hero, and you are no longer a hopeful supplicant. He is just a man with his own fears, and you are a woman with her own life to live. This withdrawal feels like a loss. It feels like giving up hope. You will grieve the fantasy. You will grieve the beautiful potential you saw. This is a necessary part of the process. You are letting go of an illusion to make space for reality. And what does this look like in practice? It means you stop checking your phone with that familiar nod of hope and dread in your stomach. You start filling your own life with so much meaning, purpose, and joy that the space he once occupied in your mind begins to shrink. You invest that powerful emotional energy back into yourself, your work, your friendships, your creativity, your well-being. You become the primary source of your own validation. You don't block him. You don't send an angry message. You simply turn away from the door. You walk back into the warm, well-lit rooms of your own life. You close your own door, not to punish him, but to protect your own peace. And you feel the satisfying click of the lock, a sound of self-commitment. What happens then? There are two possibilities. The first is that he feels the shift. He feels the withdrawal of your energy. The silence, which was once his fortress of control, now becomes an empty, echoing chamber. The flattering warmth of your projection is gone, and he is left alone with his own shadow. There is no one left to perform for, no one left to hold the idealized image for him. This can sometimes provoke a crisis in a man. It can force him to confront the very fears he was trying to avoid. In this case, he might reach out. But if he does, he will not be met by the same woman who was waiting in the hallway. He will be met by a woman who is centered in her own life, a woman whose peace is not dependent on his presence, a woman who will require clarity, consistency, and a man who is willing to walk all the way through the door, not just stand in the opening. He will have to show up as a real, whole person, not a silent phantom. The second, and equally powerful possibility, is that he does nothing. He remains in his silence. The half-open door eventually closes from disuse, and you, having already turned away, might barely even notice, because your life is now full. Your energy is your own. The ache of waiting has been replaced by the quiet confidence of self-possession. You have learned the profound lesson that the connection was meant to teach you, that your capacity to see the divine in another is a reflection of the divine within yourself, and that divine part of you deserves more than a life lived in a doorway. The ultimate goal is not to solve the riddle of his silence. The goal is to make his silence irrelevant. It is to arrive at a place where your emotional state is not dictated by whether or not a man texts you back. It is about understanding the deep psychological dance of projection and shadow, not so you can better analyze him, but so you can finally liberate yourself. He is silent because he is wrestling with his own ego and his own shadow, terrified by the light you have shone on him. He is thinking of you, but he is trapped in a fantasy he is afraid to destroy with reality. Let him have his silence. Let him have his fortress. You have other rooms to explore, other doors to open. The ones that lead into the vast, beautiful landscape of your own life. The question was never, why is he silent? The question was always, why am I listening so intently? When you finally stop listening to his silence, you will begin to hear the powerful, steady voice of your own soul, and it will call you home to yourself. My peace is no longer waiting at a half-open door. This decision isn't a loud, dramatic slam of a door. It is a quiet, internal click. And the first place you will feel this shift is not in your mind, but in your body. For months, perhaps longer, your nervous system has been wired for the hunt. It has been living in a state of low-grade sympathetic activation, the fight or flight response, softened to a daily hum of what if. Your posture has carried it, a subtle tension in your shoulders and jaw. Your breath has been shallow, waiting. Your stomach has held the flutter of anxiety that you mistook for excitement. When you truly withdraw your energy, your body is the first to know. You will start to notice a deep, cellular exhale. One day, you will wake up and realize your first thought was not of him. You will pick up your phone to check the time, and only the time, without that reflexive glance for a notification that isn't there. The phone itself will feel different in your hand. No longer a vessel of hope and dread, but simply a tool. This is the body memory layer releasing its grip. The space he occupied was not just in your thoughts, it was a phantom limb in your somatic experience. As you reclaim that space, you will feel a grounding, a weightiness in your own feet. You are no longer leaning towards a half-open door. You are standing, fully, in your own center. The inner signs will follow, like small, gentle sunrises. You might be driving, and a song comes on the radio. Your song. The one that felt like it was written about the two of you. And you will feel a ghost of the old ache, a flicker of memory. But then, it will pass. The song will simply become a song again, a beautiful melody, not a painful tether. You will see his name, or a man who looks like him, and your heart will not perform its familiar, painful leap. There will be a moment of recognition, and then a calm continuation of your own thoughts. This is not numbness, it is the opposite. It is the return of feeling to the rest of your life. The world, which had become a backdrop to the drama of his silence, will come back into sharp focus. The taste of your coffee, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the laughter of a friend. These things will no longer be muted. They will have their own vibrant reality, independent of your emotional weather report about him. This is the sign that you have successfully withdrawn your projection. The gold you painted him with has been returned to your own inner treasury, and you are beginning to spend it on the kingdom of your own life. And what of the shadow you met in the hallway, the part of you that feared abandonment, the understanding woman who put her own needs last? You do not banish her, you integrate her. You turn to that part of you with compassion. You tell her, I see you. I see how hard you work to be loved. But that job is over now. I will keep you safe. I will not abandon you. By doing this, the shadow's frightened energy becomes a source of profound strength. The fear of abandonment, once integrated, transforms into a fierce capacity for self-reliance. The good girl persona, once seen and honored, evolves. She doesn't become selfish or cold. She becomes wise. Her empathy is now discerning. She gives her understanding not as a desperate bid for love, but as a conscious gift to those who are present and willing to meet her in reality. She understands him, yes, but she understands herself more. And then, one day, when you least expect it, the test will come. It almost always does. It will be a Tuesday afternoon. You will be in the middle of something that matters to you. A work project, a creative flow, a plan for a trip. Your phone will light up. It's his name. The message is simple, casual, designed to be low risk for him. Hey, was just thinking of you. Hope you're well. The old you would have experienced a full-body shockwave, a surge of adrenaline, a rush of vindicated hope, a frantic calculation of the perfect response. Your entire afternoon, your entire week would have been hijacked. But the new you look at the screen. You feel a flicker of something, curiosity, maybe a faint echo of the past. But the tidal wave of emotion doesn't come. Your nervous system remains calm. Your peace is not disturbed. You are not hooked. You put the phone down and finish what you were doing. Not as a power play, but because what you were doing is genuinely more important in that moment than deciphering a ghost's text. Later, when you have a quiet moment, you consider a reply. The test is not in ignoring him. The test is in the nature of your engagement. Your response is not born of anger or a need for apology. It is born of your new, centered self. You might write something simple and clear like, I'm doing very well, thank you. I hope the same for you. There is no question mark. There is no open loop for him to cling to. You are not asking, why are you thinking of me? You are not inviting a long, ambiguous conversation. You were simply closing the circle he attempted to open. If he is truly ready to step out of the shadows, he will have to do more. He will have to risk clarity. He might respond with, "I'd love to hear about it sometime. Are you free to talk?" This is the moment he steps towards the threshold. And you, standing firmly in your own room, can then decide if you want to open the door to a real conversation, based on real presence and real intention. You will be able to gauge his energy, not his words. You will know if he is showing up as a whole man, or just a boy testing if the door is still ajar. But more often than not, your calm, self-possessed response will reflect a reality he is not ready for. The woman he was thinking of was the one waiting in the hallway, the one whose energy was focused on him. That woman is gone. He may feel this shift in your simple, placid words, and the silence will resume. But this time, his silence is not a mystery you need to solve. It is simply an absence, and your life is already too full to notice. The scene in the hallway was a necessary chapter. The symbol of the silent phone was a powerful teacher. But the inner turn, the moment you chose your own piece over his puzzle, was the story's true climax. Some connections are not meant to become lifelong partnerships. They are catalysts. They are sacred assignments from our soul, designed to force us into a confrontation with the parts of ourselves we have left waiting in the cold. He was the key, but the door he unlocked was never his. It was always your own. He led you to the doorway of your own unhealed wounds, your own shadow, and your own magnificent reclaimed power. And for that, in the quiet fullness of your new life, you can feel a strange and peaceful sense of gratitude. The riddle is solved, not because he finally spoke, but because you finally learned to listen to yourself.